Hello everyone, welcome to the another Bluehead SEO series episode. In this episode, we will be giving you more than 3 SEO suggestions in a way that you can directly start to implement them. So let's start with the first one. Please, when you launch a new project, try to focus on the impression increase rather than the click. And put an aim to the 10,000 impression as much as possible. Once you actually exceed the 10,000 impression, you will be started to actually rank for the more search features. And you will be evaluated as a candidate source to rank higher. Maybe in my case studies, yet I didn't explain the concepts of the, let's say, candidate sources, but it means that actually you are one of the first choices of the search engine to outrank or replace some of the already established authorities. And it's something that you should be always careful about, because if you look at here, CTR in this section is still very low. It means that until, let's say, this is the 5th or the 6th month of this project, by the way, and the website is brand new. You can check it from the third-party sources. I will also be showing you that. First thing is that once we actually launched the project, I guess it was the midsummer, and you see that actually impressions start to increase gradually. As long as the impressions are increasing, it means that you are actually in the right direction. Just be sure that impressions are increasing from the related queries as much as possible. And this is the second suggestion. First, focus on impression increase, and be sure that once you come to the 10,000 impression, you will start to rank for more search features. And please check for which feature snippets, which image packs, or which answer box you are ranking more and more. Another part is that please be careful about the expected rankings, because sometimes people launch the projects and they directly expect that actually it will start to rank. It's not the situation. You will need to gather enough level of historical data, and this project just happened as I explained in my case studies a lot of times. You design a topical map, create your semantic content network. Even if you publish nothing yet, it means that you are actually creating a data. Then you take the data and turn it to the website, which means data to website. And in this case too, we create the data, then we start to feed the algorithm. Once the algorithm is sure enough, then we start to rank higher for most of these queries, and in just, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks, we nearly reach out to the 100,000 impression and nearly 1,000 clicks. And I expect actually over 2,000 clicks in this project, and the real potential of this website is over 30,000 clicks a day. It can be reached out in a very easy way without backlinks or the page rank. It's always possible if you implement the semantics in a proper way. And when it comes to the third suggestion, please be careful about your article quality, because this project didn't follow all of my guidelines as it should be. Then, in a way, it also helped them, because I told them that to be able to actually prioritize this specific ranking, which will be coming with one of the core algorithm updates, whichever the core update focus on this region, this industry, and the website is English, you can check it. And this industry or this topic, it will be re-evaluating us, or it will be triggering a re-ranking. And to be able to be ready for the re-ranking situation, please be sure that you are fixing your articles. Because when you start to actually being re-ranked, you will realize that you are starting to actually, let's say, increase your rankings gradually. If I go for just last 7-day comparison, you will be able to actually see that some of the pages and the queries, once they are outperforming some other websites or the web pages, they are actually creating a kind of approval system for the further queries. Usually, this is the reason that I use the concept of the query network in a way that I already explained and, let's say, defined in my case studies. Which means that none of these queries are coming here based on a coincidence or a random choice. They are coming according to the distance to each other. If I come to here and check that actually, let's say, these queries like previous, just focus on the impression, clicks are not important. If you look at here, for instance, we are started to rank for these queries just this week. Last week, they were not ranking anymore. And do you think that it is a coincidence? Do you think that search engine just gives random decisions and they first actually rank you for, let's say, these randomly, and then randomly these are coming? No, it doesn't happen in that way. Once you get enough level of historical data, and if you are passing some of the, let's say, quality thresholds, then you will start to be outranking your competitors, and every query layer will start to be conquered, and it will be continuing wave by wave. How about, or I said that actually since they didn't follow all of these rule sets, I said that actually it helped the website. In what way? Because during this time, they didn't sleep on the articles, because this brings actually 2 different suggestions. First, whatever you published, please keep updating that. Which means that they started to choose one article every day, and for entire maybe 3 months, they were fixing at least one article in the website according to the rule set that I have given to them in terms of the algorithmic authorship rules that I have already. I mentioned that, but I didn't publish most of them yet. Another thing is that whenever they actually update one of the articles, they're actually increasing their, let's say, publication frequency. Momentum is not just about publishing new content, it is actually about, or new web pages. It's about actually updating the content. If you're able to update enough level of content or enough level of web pages, you will be always actually helping the search engine to keep coming back to your web pages. And whenever they come back, they find more information in a better way, which especially short your articles, because I always try to remove the fluff and clutter in my articles as much as possible. So when it comes to the ranking or the ranking algorithms, showing patience is always important, and not sleeping on the, let's say, the progress is also one of the important ones. Understanding the query layers inside the query networks is also important too, because this is a concept that actually I explained in the first Topical Authority case study that I have written actually, and it was in the on-crawl as much as I can remember. And if you come to this part, you will directly see that actually I am talking about the neighborhood content or something like that actually should be existing here. Maybe I'm not able to search it yet, but it should be here, even if I am writing it in a wrong way. But basically, if one of your pages are quality enough, the next one will be approved too. You can actually read this case study again, because this was the most easiest article that I have written in a way that, and there are just the instructions here. These instructions are still actually very, very valid, and they are actually permanently valid. Another thing is that I also mentioned to you actually the quality thresholds. As you remember, I created a case study with 27 articles with Outrank Healthline or WebMD or other type of health projects. And it also explains actually the concept of the quality thresholds, how you can actually calculate the quality threshold and how you can actually exceed it. You can check this project as well. I will suggest you to, let's say, understand these articles too. If you just read these 3 articles multiple times and regularly, you can keep your projects on the track just based on the semantics as much as possible too. And let's move on to do another suggestion here. Google Discover. It is important because once you have the ranking, you will start to be appearing in the Google Discover. And it is important because Google Discover is queryless, topic-based, and navigation-based search engine, which means you actually don't search something there with the queries. But search engine knows you, and they calculate actually the relevance of a topic to a website or web source or an article. Then they calculate the relevance of you as a user or as a user cluster to the topic as well. Then they start to suggest these websites. If you have discovered traffic, it means that you start to be having direct topical relevance and topical authority. It is one of the important, let's say, signifiers and approvals directly from the search engine side. You can use all these data, for instance. Again, these are not coincidence, because if you look at here, only the books are getting really good amount of clicks. Why? Because Google Discovery is also about fun. Books, movies, actors, actresses, podcasts, these are fun entities, okay? But when it comes to the short combo, it is not that much fun, and it is not a Google Discover mood. So it means that actually by focusing on different type of entities in the author section of your topical map, you can actually get higher reach in the Google Discover, which can increase your follower count in the Google News section or publisher section. Plus, you can also increase your overall relevance to a specific type of audience. That audience is the same audience that search for these type of things in the Google web search, which means that if you're able to catch to the same user in different surfaces of the Google will start to trust you faster even. Use these type of fun entities, especially in the Google Discover. Plus, try to use the Google Discover to understand your overall relevance and authority for the specific website. One more suggestion from me is that please keep this specific non-index section very, very low as much as possible. The ideal number here is 0. Again, I am keep moving in a fast way as much as possible since this is a blue hat video. Keep this 99%, and this is actually close to the 100% because the 3 or 4 is not harmful. So it is very perfect thing. Let's say search engine has their own cache, which is aggressive cache. Even if you tell that don't cache it, they can cache it. According to their own decision, it's up to them. If you see the 3 or 4, it means that you don't have that much actually new content on the website, which is one of the issues a little bit. So if you're able to keep it regular. Let's say if you're able to increase it 3 or 4, actually by communicating with the Google crawl systems more in a more regular way, let's say, it will be better too. But keeping this 99% is important, and keep this like 98. These are my two of my actual KPIs in most of these type of projects. Especially this website will be growing very fast in coming soon, so it is even more important to keep these very, very, let's say, high compared to others. And also, please try to have lower than 100 millisecond average response time, which is highly important too. So if you want, we can do some simple comparisons, but this website is new, so it's hard to explain it. But basically, you can actually beat, let's say, Google Sandbox or whatever it is in an easy way. And another thing is, if I look at the third-party data here, you will realize that even now we are actually ranking for, let's say, 13,000 queries. An average position will be increasing gradually. Every week you will be seeing actually more and more top 3 queries in this area. And this is the SEMrush data. You can see the DR, UR, etc. You can check it. Another thing is, by the way, we are actually competing with the Investopedia or these type of really good, strong finance websites at the same time, which are important as well. This is the another third-party data in this part too. So I will be giving a few more suggestions. First of all, please try to make your entity even more authorized as much as possible. When it comes to the Strike, if I search for the Strike.money or similarly something else, this is the reason that I am talking about the entity-oriented search. First of all, this Strike is not us, which means Strike.money is different from this Strike in this case. It also brings us to a differentiation between brand name, domain name, and let's say the website name. These three things are not same. Your domain name can be different from your actual website name, and brand name can be again different from your domain name as well. This brings us to this position as well, because if you look at here, our website name, or let's say domain is just Strike, and full website name is Strike.money, which means sometimes our domain extension is part of our actually overall relevance and overall, let's say, target. And in sometimes actually I have even seen that Google is using your Google, let's say, domain extension to relate you to the certain type of topics. For instance, I had a project once for a construction business. It was a B2B company, and the domain end section or domain extension was CAT, which means cat. And we were ranking for cat songs. We were not relevant to that. An entire website even didn't mention the word cat, to be honest, or as a word, as an entity. But still we were ranking there, because at the beginning of your life cycle, the search engine doesn't know actually what you are telling. This brings me back to here, because right now we are ranking higher thanks to the distributional semantics, which is easier. It means that distributional semantics, usually it is about how relevant you are to the specific subject. But if your articles or sentential semantics, which means in-post semantics in terms of format, sentence structures, or meaning of these things, if they are not good enough, in the coming months, this website can see a negative effect. This is one of the reasons that actually article update frequency and speed should be increased. Because at the beginning, search engines rank you higher without understanding your content completely. And this is the reason that actually your extension even becomes more important. And in this project, actually, I even intervened or helped for a little bit the naming of the project at the same time, because this is entirely for the Bitcoin, which is a little bit slightly competitor, because they are trading, but not the stocks, just the coins. But still, they were before us. And in this case, they are ranking for our actually brand query, which means brand SERP. And Strike Bitcoin is here, Strike BTC here. And again, in this area, the word money appears in their title tag in let's say in the homepage, and directly they are ranking here too, which is this is a Strike that me, and here too we have some of their actual social media accounts and very strong also Twitter account as well. This might also create a kind of a little bit confusion. So it might be positive at the same time, because if someone searches for the Strike BTC etc., it's not very clear whether they are searching for them or us, which means based on the brand name similarity, we can actually create a kind of, let's say, blurring for their brand power or brand relevance to the specific phrase. Because same user who trades actually BTC can be trading a little bit let's say the stocks as well, which might actually expand their user experience or journey a little bit further, and search engine even can actually relate these two brands to each other in a better way as well. One more reason that I am mentioning here to have a more entity-oriented search. Let me give you an example. For instance, with this, let me just check it from another section. Let me go to come to this area. Maybe I can try to trigger it in a better way. Yeah. So let me translate it as well, because the other browser has too many extensions there. But basically, Alex's father is actually a writer and also actress and sales coach and many things. I didn't claim this knowledge panel, but I triggered that. The reason for that is I want to make this entity first related to actually business coaching, sales coaching. Then I want to make the entity more authoritative for the subject. Then I want to connect this entity directly to the artist in business, which is another project that I designed, but it needs a little bit more time. So basically here too, Strike.money actually has an advantage. Let me just search for the founder. And when we search for this is not entirely the right information, because still they don't understand the entity, because this is not the founder, but in this case, officer of the strike, which means that there is a kind of entity resolution issue here, and it will be even stronger in the coming months. When it comes to the About Us section, we see the specific entity here. This is a very important and expert person, and we have a knowledge, let's say, panel here, and at the same time, this is not our entity, because it says let me just translate, sorry. It says bioscience and other type of things here, which means that we need to take all these podcasts and we need to turn them into the, let's say, IMDb entity, and we need to turn the person a real authority on the subject. And this is what we do for Alex's Fader as well. Right now we are doing a podcast series even, and it will be even more, let's say, helpful in the future too. If you want to learn further, try to read about entity identity management case study in our channel. We have a video for that, from an ex-wife to the cosmetic dentist. Despite all the nationwide news publishers, nearly, were creating slandering content, we were able to fight back against these high page-ranking sources with, let's say, mostly semantics. And we convinced search engine that the person is not an ex-wife. Main attribute is business person, business woman, mother, and let's say dentist, cosmetic dentist, and many other things there. And we were able to do that by publishing, let's say, more healthy content in a healthy way the search engine can understand. This brings me to nearly the last section in this specific video. And again, I am talking a bit fast. You know that I am giving very detailed prompts to the ChatGPT, and you can see here that I give 2 rules, then I give just 4 instructions directly. And I make a reminder here with more emphasis. I say that follow the rule 1, rule 2, and instruction 1, 2, 3, 4. You can stop the video and read these things, but I need to keep the timing short. Basically, I tell the system that remember or keep these 100 most important stop trading concepts in your attention window, which means that while you are giving me an answer, just use all these concepts as much as possible. Then give me 3 lists. One is overall list, instruction list. The other one is more authoritative, expert focused, let's say, instruction list. The third one is experience focused and opinionated instruction list. Why this is important? Because perspectives continue to become more important. When someone searches for stock trading, they are searching it as a beginner and as an advanced person. They're also searching it for just getting some ideas, or there are also some people like reading or engaging with the very easy content to have or digest in an eye-scannable way. And some people just seek for way much more details in the area. And if I'm able to cover all these perspectives and levels as much as possible, I will be able to rank higher, because I am satisfying or matching the behaviors or possible and related search activities for a bigger audience. If you check just the predicates, let's start from the predicates: conduct, leverage, align, incorporate, consider, regularly, stay, engage, seek, prioritize. If you look at here, which are more, let's say, opinionated and experienced: trust, look, don't follow, embrace, prioritize, learn, be patient, consider, keep, remember. If you look at these ones, these are let's say, more, let's say, rare predicates that appear on the web or any kinds of document directly. Plus they entail, in terms of the semantic entailment, they entail more possible and direct, or let's say specific, behaviors or practices as much as possible. Because when you say the trust, the possible connections or possible or when you say trust your instincts, the context is not that much actually clear. But when you use the word conduct, it means that actually you start with a process, okay? Which means that you are actually starting a process with phases, with steps and other type of areas. When you say the leverage, for instance, as a predicate, you actually start to talk about utilizing a certain type of aspect or angle as much as possible, which helps us to actually increase the expertise of the content. When you look at here, these are overall, let's say, predicates a little bit. But both of them are actually helpful because the vocabulary is richer. If you look at here, volatility, it doesn't appear in these two, but it appears here, which is very important actually, let's say, in this case, attribute for stock movements. And if you look at here, cutting edge, again, is important. Market analysis and forecast, again, is important, let's say, concept here to have. And we create a comparison table. We get the actual style. The first one, which is the basic one. If I come here, you will see, again, important predicates. And if you look at the nouns, again, the word portfolio, rebalance, again, let's say, let me just check, investment plan, important, emotional decision, important, cautious of the investment, important, and high returns, low risk, important, impulsive trading, which is a style of trading, again, important, long term, let's say, term or length of the trading, which is again important. All these specific sections should be included. And when it comes to writing the specific content that you have, imagine that you get all these specific angles and attributes and you create an expert level, let's say expert focus authoritative instruction list. Then imagine that you use the other aspects as a list outro. To be able to understand what I mean with the list outro, you should actually be in our Topical Authority course or in some of our, let's say, community. But basically, it is the sentences that are coming just after the list to connect it to the next heading a little bit or the next context. Basically, we are trying to actually balance all these perspectives with the most possible richest connection count. And it brings me to another area. If you watched our latest SEO case study, which was about health and rehab center, and we actually has grown the project over 4 times despite helpful content updates, spam updates, 3 different core updates, and many other updates as well. And if you check there too, we were mentioning actually getting the most fundamental entities and definitely including them in more pages. How about we also increase the possible connections between all these things as much as possible, which means, let's say, you and your competitors have different type of information graphs, but which one has more connections? The connection richness actually directly signals the expertise and a possible satisfaction from the website as much as possible too. You can check these things further. I won't be reading them one by one, but style, informative, protective, analytical, detailed, personal, insightful. The personal section is important here. Passionate and individualistic is the tonality. Here, professional, authoritative, for instance, we have. Sentiment in the first one is natural, confident, and optimistic, for instance. Entities, general investment terms, advanced financial concepts, personal experience, and market trends, for instance. So when it comes to the experience section, it is a little bit, it has less, maybe less responsiveness, but it has better tonality, especially for the beginner level investors too. Again, one more time, please check the YouTube channel that we have. You can actually see directly the latest case study that we published. It is actually published today. You can just check it. To be honest, this video was supposed to be published first, but then a few things happened. And I would like to mention some of our members first before continuing to further. I am still learning how to use Mac. So, Mateus, I am really happy to have you in our community. And if I butcher your last name, please don't get angry. Mateus Salgowski, or Chalkowski maybe, or Zhalgowski. I hope one of them is the true one. And I am very happy and thankful for your thank you note as well. I'll be sharing it in my profile too. And also Tarinduji, many thanks. I'm very happy to see your progress as well. And lastly, George Kocher or Kosher. I don't know which one is true, but he says that actually he was following me even when I wasn't cool. I didn't know that actually I am cool, but thank you. Anyway, and there are many, many more. I registered all these things, and until now, actually, we already got over 100 results, screenshots like this, and the shares. And I gathered them, but I couldn't mention most of them, but I will be doing it very soon as much as possible. If you want to join the holistic SEO communities, please subscribe to our newsletter. You can also subscribe to our actual latest LinkedIn newsletter as well. You are welcomed. Right now, I am keeping it more active. In fact, if you check here, in the last edition, I explained how to use SEO for political campaigns and elections or political entities with structured data, knowledge panel management, Google Trends data, and all the related case studies too. And this brings us to the end. It's great to see you. Maybe I should tell one more thing. Lately, instead of actually doing that much client things, I started to actually take shares from the SaaS companies, and I started to rank them higher for higher valuation. If you have some bright ideas and some investors, you can always reach out to me as well. I want to make the 2024 a little bit more capitalist for myself, because I'm expecting to be a father maybe in the next 2 or 3 years. With that said, people, I love you all and see you later. Thank you.